Hi, my beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Mindful Podcast. Now, today we are delving into the profound and captivating realm of awe with a spotlight on the book, The Power of Awe. Overcoming burnout and anxiety, ease chronic pain, and finding clarity and purpose in less than 1 minute a day. That's the book, The Power of Awe. And with us today, we have the author or one of the authors, Michael Amster. And Michael is a physician and an awe researcher, a writer and a teacher at the UC Berkeley Greater Good Science Center. And with 20 years as a pain management specialist, he is currently the founding director of the Pain Management Department at Santa Cruz Community Health. He's a practitioner of meditation for over 30 years, and he's also a certified yoga and meditation teacher. He splits his time between clinical work, research of awe, and teaching mindfulness and leading the awe-inspiring retreats around the world. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much, Claudine, for that really kind introduction. I'm just thrilled to be here and to get to spend some time talking to you and getting to meet your community of listeners. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
No problem. So, Michael, I've been saying awe, and I've read the book, The Power of Awe, but can you tell us how awe is defined or what is awe and how it is recognized as this unique emotion?
Yeah, of course. So, um, if you think about a moment of awe you've had in the past, for a lot of people, it's an experience of extraordinary awe. It's like an incredible sunset or I've been to your country and I was totally in awe when I was getting to do a hike through the rivers at Ochos Rios, that it was just breathtaking and amazing. And so from a definitional standpoint, it's an emotional experience in which we sense being in the presence of something that transcends our normal perception of the world, right? So it's often something of beauty, but it can be as simple as just being with your child or your significant other and being in awe of their hands and the textures of two hands together. That can be a moment of awe. And what's unique about my book, um, and the work and the research I do is that we study and teach people how to experience awe in the ordinary. So we don't have to have an extraordinary experience of having to travel to the Grand Canyon or, going to the UK to see an incredible rock concert, of U2 or something that just like mind blows you, but that we can have on every day. And that's really so important because we want to be able to have sustainable awe. Awe has a lot of health benefits, as we'll talk about today. And experiencing on a daily basis is very healing for our physical body as well as our mind and our spirit.
Okay. And so just going into a little of what you said. So awe is like anything that makes you have some type of wonder or amazement.
Yeah, so scientifically, um, when scientists look at different positive or negative emotions, we have to define like what makes that emotion unique. So one of the aspects of what defines awe as a unique emotion, there's sort of two phenomenon. One is this experience, what is called perceived vastness. So typically when we have a moment of awe, um, we may look out at the world and experience a sense of vastness, like something that's bigger than our smaller sense of self. And it could be a physical thing that just is vast and big, like an incredible sunset, beautiful sky at night, filled with stars. But actually, more importantly, it's a sense of vastness we experience within ourselves. So we can feel that our sense of self expands, that we feel connected to the universe or God, some bigger sense of consciousness or all life on Earth. And then the second way we also defined awe as unique emotion is this idea of what's called cognitive accommodation. And basically what that means is that it's that experience where it kind of like blows your mind a little bit. You're like, huh, wow, that is so beautiful. Like I just can't believe how beautiful that is, or amazement. Um, it's like I was on this swim the other day with my wife, and we live here on the island of Kauai and in the Hawaii Islands, and a place that we had never swam before. And we're on a reef, so it's pretty shallow. And then we got to the edge of the reef, and there was this like giant bowl of blue water surrounded by kind of volcanic rocks. And then there was an eagle ray swimming in this like bowl. And it was just like so beautiful and peaceful. And that was like an experience of cognitive accommodation where here we were in the shallow reef, and all of a sudden it's like this big change and transition that sort of literally blew our minds open in that moment, and was an experience of pretty profound awe for us.
Okay. So tell me, Mike, what made you do this research?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm a medical doctor. I work as a pain management specialist, and I have been a student of meditation for over 30 years. I got into actually practicing meditation out of really necessity because I had a lot of anxiety growing up as a kid, and particularly anxiety with taking examinations. And to be a doctor, you have to take a lot of examinations. So I was experiencing panic attacks and a lot of anxiety when I was in the university. And so sort of at a crossroads, I either have to get on medication to manage those symptoms or find some type of more holistic, supportive way to manage my very intense mind that was racing and worried a lot about my performance on exams. So a friend introduced me to a form of Buddhist meditation called Vipassana, and then that really sort of took my life in a whole new trajectory, uh, where I was, of course, first a student, and then eventually got trained as a mindfulness teacher and led a mindfulness a meditation community, and have been teaching mindfulness to my patients for a long time. And the way I kind of got into this awe research and work is because my friend and colleague Jake Eagle, who's also my co-author of the book, The Power of Awe, he's a psychotherapist in Hawaii, and we both teach mindfulness classes and programs. And we were noticing that people were really struggling with having a sustained mindfulness practice, like a mindfulness class, and then they go home and they try to practice it every day. It's hard. It's hard to continue that type of practice day in and day out. If it maybe you're told to practice for 20 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, but in our busy lives, we don't have the time
Yes.
often to sit and have that protected, quiet space to do so. So we thought about designing sort of this ideal brief mindfulness practice. And what might that be? Like, what would be a micro dose of mindfulness? That's originally what we called this work, microdosing mindfulness, like little doses of mindfulness that you can have throughout the day. And when we started to explore like what that experience would be like, it was like, we're like, oh, to take you to a place of profound inner peace, deep presence, like really being in the fully in the present moment, a sense of timelessness, sense of connection. And like, oh, this is all about the emotion of awe. Like when you have a profound moment of awe, you often experience a sense of timelessness, pure presence, in a deep sense of peace and connection. And in many ways, for those that have studied a little bit about Buddhism, the Buddha talks about an experience of nirvana. That's like this sort of temporary state of like deep, profound peace and presence. And I think awe is really what that is. I mean, when we're experience of awe, we really are experiencing that level of pure peace and presence. And so we came up with this practice that the book is focused on and our research is focused on, called the awe method. And we take the word awe, we break it into 3 steps, AWE, which helps you to learn how to experience a moment of awe in the present moment, just on demand, really, quite simply in about 15 seconds.
Okay, so it's a form of meditation, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the awe method or this practice is really it's a it's a mindfulness practice. I don't um uh, mindfulness is a bigger kind of umbrella terminology now where it incorporates a lot of different types of practices from, yoga is a type of mindfulness practice, like qigong, like moving our bodies can be mindful. Um, but then there's also practices where we're like focusing our mind, our attention, and meditation, different meditation techniques are definitely within the umbrella of a mindfulness practice. So I would consider the awe method a brief mindfulness practice is a very simple practice that you can do anywhere, anytime. Um, and it's simple, it's effortless, really, which is nice because a lot of more traditional mindfulness practices take a lot of effort and energy to practice that.
And I like that because someone like me who is always on the go and busy, 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 meditation can sometimes feel daunting. You always hear about, do meditation to get into that mindfulness state, but then I don't have the time. I can't sit
Ex
and just stand still, do nothing. My brain is always ticking. So that's what I like about the all method, that, it's brief, it's short, you can get the relief. And that's what I love about the all method. So,
Thank
Michael,
you. Yeah,
can you explain a little about the all method and how do we do it?
sure. I'd love to talk to people about how to do it. Um, I know that I just want to give a little disclaimer. When I listen to podcasts, I'm usually driving in the car. So if your listeners are out there and they're driving in the car, just be a little mindful about, sometimes people have a really intense moment of awe when they do the practice, and we call those orgasms, where you get the full release of energy from an intensity of awe. And also on our website, we have free practices and downloads and a resource guide of how to practice the awe method on your own. So, and a great newsletter that we give you out, you know, we call moments of awe every other week of just experiencing awe in your daily life. So yeah, I'll definitely talk people through the practice. So we use the word awe, AWE. It's an acronym that we've come up with. And so A stands for attention. And so what we're doing is we're bringing our full undivided attention to something that we value, we appreciate, or we find amazing. So I'm going to first talk us through, and I'll lead us actually through a practice. So the first is identifying that thing, and it can be actually just even a memory. If like you're having a hard time identifying something that you value, appreciate, or find amazing in the space that you're in, um, you can even just close your eyes and recall a sweet memory, maybe of your being with your grandparents or in a birthday as a kid or something that really evokes a sense of awe. And then the W stands for wait. And the wait is a mindful pause. It's just an opportunity to really be present and with that experience in which we're bringing our full attention to. And the way I like to think of it is when we're walking with a friend, let's say through a doorway, and our friend, goes ahead and they open the door and they hold it open for you so you get to pass through. Well, someone's taking care of you, and it feels good when someone cares for us. And in this wait, we're taking care of ourselves. We're really allowing ourselves to fully be in that beautiful moment of awe, like just soaking it in, let it marinate and fill you up. And then the E stands for two things. So one is we're taking a nice long exhale out. And when we take a nice long exhale out, we stimulate what's called our vagus nerve. And there's a lot of talk these days about the vagus nerve. And that is, for those that don't know, it's our nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, the part of our nervous system that regulates like our heart rate, our blood pressure, our respiratory rate, and all these different processes in the body. It has two aspects to it. One is called the parasympathetic, which is sort of that rest and repair state. And the other one is the sympathetic, and that's that fight, flight, freeze. Like if we're being, you know, chased by a tiger, or like we see a snake on the ground and we get scared and we jump back, that's the sympathetic nervous system like automatically kicking in to protect us. So the vagus nerve is the master computer of that nice healing parasympathetic nervous system, and it actually attaches at the very bottom of our diaphragm, all the way up the spine and spinal cord area. So when we take a nice long exhale out, we actually are experiencing a reset of our nervous system. And I mean, we could just even do that together right now, and your listeners can do this with me. You know, we just take a nice long inhale in and a longer exhale out. You can even say the word ah. Just noticing how you feel right now. Just a simple long exhale out. We just feel like we've reset our nervous system and really feel calm.
Yeah, you have that little
And then you
calmness.
feel that?
Yes, I felt that calmness.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then the E stands for expansion. So as well. And the idea is that when we have a big moment of awe, like often we feel energy expand in our body. People can recall maybe you felt like the hair on your skin, little hair stand up. It's called piloerection, but we have an actual physiology of awe. And so we're just allowing that to flow, that energy to escape through our body by letting it expand and get bigger than us. So that's the practice, kind of an overview of it. So why don't we practice it together right now? And then we can share a little bit how that was for you, Claudine.
Okay.
All right, so right now in the space that we're in, that you're in as a listener, why don't you just find something that you value, appreciate, and find amazing? So maybe look on your walls, maybe the plant, piece of artwork, something very simple. I mean, it could be as simple as being in awe of a pen. I mean, these pens are actually pretty awe-inspiring, what they allow us to do and to communicate and how they work. So just bring your full undivided attention to that one thing and just fully be with it, appreciate its beauty, its wonder of what it is, what gifts maybe it brings in your life. And then that's the W, we're waiting, we're just fully being with it and enjoying that. And now take a nice inhale in, longer exhale out. And then that expansion, letting the energy kind of fill you up, expanding out to your extremities, at your feet, even at your head. Good, and then just maybe close your eyes for a moment. Notice how you feel. And coming back to the present, opening your eyes. How is that for you, Claudine? Tell me a little bit about your awe moment.
Calming. So I
Hmm.
felt a release. So in that release of breath, the expansion, I felt so calm, and it's like you felt a little rush, the calmness just going down to my toes.
Tell me what did you focus on? What was your experience? What did you bring your attention to?
My water bottle.
Oh,
So I just looked at how it was designed, and then
uh-huh.
just focused on how it was designed, and then what water does, to my body and how I needed it. So just thinking about that, you know, it just gave me that calmness for that moment.
Yeah, isn't it it's really amazing like how a water bottle, like there's so much there to be in awe of, right?
Yes, because I never actually just looked at the design of the bottle or anything. I didn't see how intricately it was. You just usually just grab the water and go.
Right.
But
The
just
little,
taking that time to just look at it and how it was constructed, the design, what's on it, the contents and what it does for me, you know, just taking that little time. That was
yeah, that's the
awe-inspiring.
yeah, that's the beauty of this practice is what we're doing is we're training ourselves to see the world with the eyes of childlike wonder and amazement. if
So
you have
how,
children in your life, a lot of kids are just young kids in particular, like live their lives in all the time of everything around them. So we get to train ourselves to live in that level of amazement and wonder of the miracles of life every day.
so just like how when I was going through that moment, I felt something just going, as I said, from my head down to my toes. And I felt that calmness. I felt a little feeling. How do people know when they're going through that awe-inspiring moment? How you know when you're going through awe? Is it a specific feeling? Am I to get tingly? Am I to, is there a special emotion or feeling?
Well, what we tell people is that there is a spectrum of experience. So it can be a very subtle thing versus that we call an orgasm. So I would say that most of my awe throughout the day is very subtle. It's like a very subtle awareness of maybe noticing colors more brightly, sounds more rich, sensations, tastes, just being more full in their experience. Um, I don't always experience the tingles of that sensation, but what I do notice is a few things. One is that it brings me to the present moment. So I get out of that monkey mind of obsessional thoughts or thinking that we all do all throughout our day. So I'm very present, and I'm also um, just having this experience of this sort of more kind of sensorial richness. It's like as though someone turned up the volume of really being present and enjoying like the pleasures of living on a daily basis. So for me, it's very subtle. And I think for every individual, it's different. So there's not like one recipe. And what we're doing in the AH method is we're basically giving you a training wheel. Like when you learn to ride a bike, we're giving you training wheels to learn how to experience awe in the everyday. And some people take this practice. We did research studies with hundreds of people in two large studies, and we taught them this particular practice, and it was for a very successful way for people to begin experiencing awe in the everyday.
Okay, so um I think it's a good time to ask, is there a good time or a right time to experience or do the all method? Like, is it the best time in the morning, night, or it's
And
just
in any
whenever?
place, it yeah, it doesn't matter about time of the day you do it, but when people are beginning to start a daily awe practice, it's often helpful to do what's called habit stacking. And that's when we attach the awe practice to something we already do on a daily basis. Enjoy a nice cup of tea when I get up in the morning. And so for me, I can have a lot of different experiences of awe with making a cup of tea. Everything from turning on the kettle to watching the water boil can be an awe moment. I have a selection of different teas, like a nice box of 30 different varieties, and I get to choose. It's like, wow, I can be in awe of the packaging and the colors. And then, like this morning, I wanted to have a nice Earl Grey. So, and Earl Grey has a very distinct and unique flavor to that, like that bergamot. And so it was a moment of awe for me of just really, I haven't had Earl Grey in a few days. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's like the richness of that flavor. It's like so special. Um, I also have a frother. So like I frothed my milk this morning and that was like a moment of awe. So we can really, the bottom line is that we can find awe in things we already do every day. You can have a moment of awe if you take, when you take a shower. It can be when you're in the car and you get at a red light. Like use that opportunity at a red light while you're just sitting there. Look outside the car. Look around you. Look at the trees. See birds fly by. Look at the sky and the clouds. Be in awe of a stoplight and the fact that stoplights allow traffic to work and we're not all crashing into each other all the time. Um, so I would encourage people to just maybe for the first week or two to um, make a commitment around finding awe in certain things you do throughout the day. And that sort of might be something in the morning, something around lunchtime, and then something around the evening time. Um, we studied in our research that we asked people to practice at least 3 times a day of these brief moments of awe. And what we found was that there's what's called a dose response. So the more times people dose their awe throughout the day, the more benefit they had, which is really cool because this practice is free and it doesn't, it's always available. We can always pause for a brief moment to experience a moment of awe. And so the more time you dose throughout the day, the more it's going to improve your mental well-being, decreasing anxiety, decreasing depression, improving stress management, decreasing chronic pain. There's well-known research around the emotion of awe, um, decreasing inflammation in the body, and other like whole cascades of different illnesses that are related to no downsides. And one of the things I love about it, we were talking about this briefly about mindfulness or meditation practices, is that they're hard. Well, sometimes when you do a meditation practice, like you don't necessarily feel good after you finish it because you feel kind of maybe your mind was racing the whole time and you like struggled with your focus,
Yes,
right?
which is what happens all the time with me.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, what am I doing to myself? It's just like bringing up stuff, and it's like I'm just having a hard time sitting and focusing my mind. Well, what I love about this practice is that there is a reward. Every time you have a moment of awe, like you feel good. It's just like, oh, whether it's as subtle as I feel a sense of peace and groundedness or connection, or maybe you'll have an orgasm where you feel like super awake and present and excited. Um, it's a practice that really it has no downsides to it, and it can be taken anywhere in our lives, which is perfect in this modern day and age where we're all so busy and traveling and always on the go.
Michael, tell us about the different you call them domains or types of awe?
Sure. So what we've found in our research is sort of we've come up with 3 categories of awe or domains. Um, the first is sensorial awe, which we call awe of the senses. And when we train people how to do this practice in a 21-day program, which we lead these 21-day programs. Um, we did this in our studies as well as we lead these on our website through online classes. Um, we always start off with sensorial awe, and that's awe of the senses. So things we see through our eyes, sounds we hear through our ears, things we smell, the things we taste, things we feel with our skin, and sensations like simply as noticing the wind blowing on our face if we're like out on a walk. All these things can be evoke moments of awe. And often it's being out in nature, right? If we just like go outside, we can just really experience a lot of awe through our senses. And we find for most people that's sort of the easiest way to sort of a doorway, so to speak, into the world of awe. And then the second domain is what we call interconnected awe. And that's the awe we experience when we are with other sentient beings, whether it's like a loved one, family member, a friend, even strangers. We can be in awe of strangers. Like when we're in line at the grocery store, and we maybe connect with someone we don't even know through a smile, or we help. I've had wonderful interconnected awe moments where I've been at a store and I've seen an elderly individual needs help, and I'm like there to help them, or I'm like getting off an airplane and there's someone who needs help getting their bag down from the bin above. I mean, that could be a connection of interconnected awe with somebody I don't know. Also, our pets. Pets are wonderful ways of experiencing awe, a form of interconnected awe. Um, and then the third is what we call conceptual awe, and that's the awe of being in amazement of the world around us. Like here, you and I are having a conversation on Zoom. We're both in tropical islands, about a quarter of around the world from each other, quarter of the distance around the planet. And there's basically no delay in our conversation. And we're like here conversing. I mean, there's so much to be in awe of Zoom. Also, if we look outside right now, this it's morning time here, but it's just your afternoon. But we're looking at the same sun,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that sun is 100 million nuclear reactor that's sending photons of energy of light and heat our direction. And we are both blessed with this daylight on this beautiful planet, circling around in the vastness of space and the perfect distance from the sun that life can exist. Like these are all examples of conceptual awe and the miraculous, the beauty, the wonder of being alive on this planet. Every day we're just filled. Like you just look outside. Chlorophyll, why plants are green. How do they happen to of evolution create all these things? The story, the evolution of life on Earth, like all that, it's just all filled with conceptual awe, just mind-blowing amazement and beauty. So what we're doing again in this practice is we're training ourselves to just live life every day with that amazement and childlike wonder. And we begin our book with the Einstein quote. You know, we can choose to live life as though nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And it really is a choice. Like, I'd much rather live my life in radical amazement every day, the simplicity and the beauty of being alive,
True.
than being oblivious to it and feeling like my life is being controlled by my phone device.
But Michael, I did the course with you and Jake um just weeks ago. And this struck me though that while I was trying to go through the three types of awe, the conceptual, the interconnectedness, and the sensorial. But I found that the interconnectedness was the one that I felt the most awe. As you said, just
Mm,
talking to strangers, talking to people. Like after talking to someone, um, I felt that, especially a stranger or, somebody that you don't always talk to. So, while talking to them and after, I just felt this buzz, this sense of excitement. You know what I mean? And that one
yeah.
was the most awe-inspiring one for me, the interconnectedness. The
Hmm.
sensorial, sometimes I'd focus and I'd get that little buzz from the sensorial, but the interconnectedness is what really did it for me. So I want to ask, do I have to go through the three types of O's, or I can feel a connection to just one and do one?
Yeah, you can just do the one that feels, but I would encourage you to still explore the others because what we do know from our research is that we think of awe as a muscle that we can build and train. So probably a wonderful thing for you to build up the sensorial awe over time, so that then that is something that you can access more readily. So I think of no downside of doing that. But yes, of course, we all have a propensity towards one of the three domains. I have a patient who is very much in their head, and they really are a conceptual awe person. Like they live their life in wonders of the world around them, like how physics works and gravity, and just being in amazement of like the workings of the universe, so to speak. Um, so whatever really works for you, just do that practice, but it's fun to dabble. I think it's really exciting to like grow and expand in ways that maybe aren't our natural way. Um, and we know from teaching this 21-day program in our research that people entered the program without experiencing a lot of awe. After the end of doing this for 21 days, they became awe masters, really. They really did. It's pretty amazing how we can take this temporary state of awe and make it a trait of who we are as a person. Like it just becomes the wiring of who like Claudine becomes or Michael is out there in the world. Um,
And
and that's like and just a gift to yourself. It's a gift to the world to live that way.
I'm a little curious, Michael, because in the book it says in your research, you let some of your patients who felt chronic pain you introduce the all method, and that really helped them. But I'm saying, if you're going through pain, how can the all method really help you when you're feeling that pain?
Well, the way I think of this, it's like in many ways, it's a very simple mathematic equation. Okay, so pain is a physical experience. It's a sensation. It could be like electrical, like stabbing, sharp, burning. Like there's a lot of different physical symptoms of pain. So pain times our resistance to it. So if you think of a math equation, pain, which is equals suffering. So the more we resist our pain, symptoms, sensations, then we suffer. And what I think what you're talking about is the suffering experience. Like how can you, it's not the pain per se that causes our it's not pain alone that causes suffering. It's how we resist our pain and our reaction to the pain that causes our suffering. And so what the awe method does and practicing awe does with regards to improving pain is that it helps us with resistance. It helps us to become more in the present moment. It redirects our mind because our minds are really good at focusing really at one thing at a time really well. So we are then redirecting away from the pain sensation to the thing that we are finding to be in awe of. And so a combination of being more in the present moment, redirecting ourselves into awe, not resisting, the experience of pain decreases. And pain is interpreted ultimately by our brain. So for example, I mean, there's first of all, there's a distinction between chronic pain and acute pain. It's important to make that distinction. If you cut your finger and you feel that pain, it's a way to protect yourself. But if you have chronic low back pain, it's often a different mechanism of what's occurring in the body. And so the brain amplifies these pain signals with chronic pain over time. And so we're able to decrease the amplification of pain sensations by practicing on redirecting ourselves, putting our energy in a different direction. So yes, it definitely works with chronic pain. And awe and the awe practice on how to manage pain. And the outcomes are just incredible. And it also works with symptoms of anxiety and depression. It's a great healer for people that are struggling with chronic anxiety and depression as well. It's not just physical pain, but it's emotional pain as well.
Okay. So it's redirecting and refocusing your brain, your mind into other
Mhm.
things than focusing on the pain
On
or
your
the
pain. Yeah.
situation. Okay.
And not resisting life. Like we talked about this in the program you were a part of, this idea of living life with more presence versus living with force. And when we resist in a way, we're living with a lot of force and tension. And that type of tension, I mean, you can think about this. I mean, we all can relate to this, but if you've had a really stressful time in your life, of a relationship or your kid's sick and you're super stressed about their illness or your parents are sick, and you're under a lot of stress, you probably feel it in your body, right? You're going to feel
Yeah.
your neck. We all hold tension in different places,
Yes, my
our
neck.
neck, our back, whatever, shoulders, so our head. And it's that resistance, that kind of force, that tension is what causes like literally the pain, the tension in our muscles. And so what awe does is it helps us learn to live more with presence and more with ease. And
Okay.
then the tension relaxes away.
All right. I think I've got it. And I think you have explained the all method to my listeners And I know they can go away or take away from this and, to practice. Because I tell you, before I read the book and before I did the course with you guys, because I'm somebody who's a little bit skeptic about, meditation. And I was like, another meditation type thing. And I was like, oh, and this is for old people that, they're not busy. I'm busy. I'm up and about. I can't do this. But I mean, while going through the book and doing the course, I realized that no, it's not for old people. No, it's not for persons who are not busy. And it's not just that meditation, that sit down for half an hour type thing. But it's the awe method is something that, as you said, I can take 1 minute or less and just use it to redirect my mind, redirect, as you said, live in the presence and feel that calmness, that tingle feeling. So thank you, Michael. Thank you to you and Jake. The book and the research was awesome. Really, really awesome. And they always say, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
When I read the book and got into it, the book it was so simple to understand. It wasn't a lot of medical or, as I said, this meditation jargon, but it was simple to read and understand. And I loved that. So thank you guys. But before we go, what do you want your readers and my listeners, to take away from The Power of Awe? And guys, this is the book. See, I've gone through and even marked my pages.
Well, I would leave people with a simple reminder that, I think it's natural that we're all skeptics of things, right? That's our mind. Initially, we hear an idea, we're like, huh, is that really true? Is that possible? But we can assure you in this incredible research that in literally just practicing this 15-second practice 3 times a day, we saw 35% reduction of depression and 25% reduction of anxiety in hundreds of patients and decreases of chronic pain. So this is a practice that really works. It really transforms people's lives. And we've talked a lot today about like sort of the individual practice of how this is helping me or helps Claudine. But what we love about this, more importantly, because of the way the world is right now and all the suffering going on this planet, is that awe is not just a personal practice, but it is a practice that changes the world around us. Because awe is an emotion that is contagious. When we're in awe, those around us feel it too, when we share our awe with others. So have conversations with people. Like I had this like really amazing experience today, like walking at the park, and I saw this like beauty and it just gave me a sense of awe. And then you inspire awe in other people. They'll be like, huh, wow, I'd like to see the world that way. What are you learning here? Like, how do I see the world that way too? And so when we share our awe with other people, we inspire awe in others, and then there's literally a ripple effect and how it changes everything in the world around us. Because if we all lived with more awe and amazement and wonder, we would treat each other with much more love and kindness. Awe is a pro-social emotion, and what that means is that within awe is all these other passion, of generosity, of gratitude. And we can think of no downside of this profound emotion of awe, because awe is the light that we need right now in these times of darkness. Awe is the connection to the beauty, the simplicity of all different cultures. How can you kill someone if you're in awe of different cultures and different ways in which like how if on this planet, like if we're just in awe of each other, if we're in awe of the natural world, we can't destroy it. So what's missing right now, the missing ingredient right now on this planet is we have lost our connection to awe and wonder and amazement, the miracles of living. And so we hope that you can share this, not only just have the benefit of yourself, but share this out there in the world so that we can all ultimately live on a more healthy, beautiful, loving, peaceful planet. So with that, I am so grateful. I hope that the listeners will feel free to come visit me at thepowerofawe.com. I love hearing from people. You can email me if you have any questions or need support at michael@thepowerofawe.com. And I am so grateful for this opportunity, Claudia, and thank
Thank you, Michael.
you.
And thank you, Michael, for, putting in the work, doing the research, and for also sharing with us, your work and about the R method. Because as I said, I was a little bit skeptic, but going through it, it has, I see the benefits now, and I use it sometimes, to just refocus and recenter myself. So thank you. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.